Oh my word, friends, it's Pandemic Cooking 101 gone rogue. We are out of the kitchen. We are in the woods. I have my special guest, Russ Carpenter, right there. Look at him. Okay, we are tapping birch trees. Now, full disclaimer, we are not experts. We've never done this shit before. We are totally learning as we go, and we're sharing our mistakes and lessons with you. Aren't you happy? Okay, so this is our setup. We have, I think, 11 trees tapped on our property, and this is indicative of most of them. So we have, let's see if we can get up close. Russ, you want to talk about how this setup is made?
Well, you drill a hole in the tree, you stick a pipe in there, and the sap runs out into a bucket.
Okay, so later on, when we get back up to the house, we're going to show you what those taps look like. This is our bucket of sap. Let's see if you can see that. This is
12 hours.
12 hours of sap on one tree. And where's the measuring? That's like almost 2 gallons.
Almost a gallon.
Oh, it's almost a gallon. That's one tree in 12 hours. We have like 11 trees tapped. We may be a little obsessive.
And you get bark, bugs, and everything else in there?
Lots of bugs and bark. We rigged up this strainer. We tried using paper paint strainers, and it totally didn't work. So we strain it here. There we go. And we do that for like every tree. But we have 2 trees that are a little over the top. We get like 5 gallons per day from a single tree. And these little 2-gallon buckets, or 1.5, they don't keep up. So Russ rigged up a special setup. So we're gonna walk over to this tree. This tree, when we tapped it, and there's a video on my feed from a few days ago, it was a steady stream pouring out of the steady stream of sap. Okay, so here's Russ has this new setup.
We just took the tap, and then we connected a PEX pipe to it, and drains into the bucket.
That's water, what is that, like water safe tubing, right? And then our bucket, oh my word.
That's 12 hours.
Can you see? Okay, so this is 12 hours of production on one tree. And that 5-gallon bucket is
Almost full.
Really full. Okay, so when we change out that tree, when we have 2 trees set up this way, we just bring down an empty bucket and replace it. Okay,
so that tree's putting out about 10 gallons a day.
10 gallons a day from one frickin' birch tree. That's insanity. So Russ, tell us about what is a good tree to tap?
I don't know.
Big trees.
Big trees, large crown.
Yeah, so you look for the large crown, and that matters because we tapped some larger trees at the beginning and they didn't produce. They had these paltry little crowns. They were wuss-ass trees. Okay, so we're gonna head to the back porch because once you gather all this sap, you can only let it sit for, what did you read? How many days?
A day or 2.
Like a day or 2 before it starts
fermenting. Which I don't know if that's a bad thing. But.
So birch wine and beer is not made from fermented sap, right?
Yeah, it's made from syrup and yeast.
Syrup and yeast. Okay, so once again, our disclaimer, we're total newbies. We don't know what we're talking about. We're having a lot of fun. No one has died yet. We only had 1 firebomb incident, and I think we're winning. We're really winning. We also have a plethora of birch sap because, as you see, we have 2 trees that are producing 5 gallons a day. And then we have 8 or 9 other trees that are producing like 2 to 3 gallons a day. So this is the next step. Let's see if I can get this in here. Okay, Russ, we're gonna go way up high because I'm trying to, there we go, I captured it. Tell me about this setup and what we've learned doing this step.
The first thing you do is you take the birch sap and you boil it down to about 25% at a boiling temperature.
110 gallons of sap makes 1 gallon of syrup, in theory. So this setup, we have a turkey fryer. We put tinfoil around it because the wind kept blowing out the flame, right? That might be a fire hazard. We don't know. And then it's filled with sap. We bought a 21-quart canner, stainless steel canner. Oh yeah, Russ, tell us about aluminum. What's the deal with that?
Rumor is that birch sap reacts with aluminum, so you can't boil it in an aluminum pot. So we had to buy a stainless steel one.
This was our big investment for the project, was the stainless steel 21-quart canner. It's a gem.
So the first step, you can hard boil it until you get down to 25%. Then after that, then you got to go to a slow boil, which we do inside.
Slow boil. You ready? Okay. Now, pro tip. This process inside will create a steam bath atmosphere in your home.
Like a rainforest.
A rainforest would be another good descriptor, which means that if you walk through your home while boiling sap at a hard boil in 5-gallon batches, you might drip sweat from every part of you, your walls, your ceiling. Let's just say it's not recommended because we tried it. We did for several days, and then we switched. This setup here with the turkey fryer and the pot, way better. All right, Russ, take us away. Show us what's going on inside.
So this takes about 4 hours to put 5 gallons in, and you get about a gallon come out. So I guess we do 20%. That takes about 4 hours.
Okay, so 4 hours on the outside fryer, and then we go inside. And remember, this is a judgment-free zone, so you're not gonna judge my kitchen. It's like early in the morning. All right, it's 9:30, but it feels early. Okay, here we go. This is the inside setup.
Then we put it into this pot, and you boil it at 200 degrees till it gets about in half, about 2 quarts.
And it's more like a strong simmer, right? Would that be accurate? Like you don't
Mild
want to,
simmer.
you do not want to hard boil this one. Just so you know, this stuff does catch fire and burn up. We are experts on that part. Okay, so next is when you've boiled, this is just a classic stock pot for the kitchen, 8 quarts, 200 degrees, simmer it down to like...
I got it down to 2 quarts.
2 quarts. Okay, and then he's gonna put it into jars.
We have a scientific measure here.
The scientific measure is a labeled paint stirrer. Excellent. Okay, so now
So this has been sanitized, washed out, rinsed with bleach water, and then you temper it with boiling water.
Boiling water. Okay, FYI, we're using growlers now because we're out of quart or pint mason jars. There's so much syrup. What we found is that we're getting more than a gallon per 110 gallons of, more than a gallon of syrup per 110 gallons of sap. Partly because we just can't figure out how to get it down to that last little bit without scorching it. Okay, so here we go. He's fine. Let's see if I can get this in here. Fine filtering, the final step. This is through a cloth jelly bag. The strainer goes into the jelly bag. Oh no, the opposite. The jelly bag is inside the strainer, into the growler, right there. Now, the color. We're going to talk about the color when he finishes this very careful pouring enterprise. Voila. 2 quarts of syrup into the growler. Who said growlers are only for beer? They're for syrup that looks like beer. Okay, so we have several different colors of syrup. What we found is that the darker the syrup has more flavor, but if you've hard boiled it, it might taste a little scorched. So if you avoid the hard boiling, the darker syrup has like robust flavor. However, this, I mean, isn't that gorgeous? So that's birch syrup. It's thin, and what we read is that it will always be thin. Here is, in the light, oh yeah, that is the same batch, same batch. Okay, so here is the darker, and that's the color he just made. So a little bit darker than those initial tries, not as dark as the scorched. And then the final step, so you need to make some pancakes, and then like coat those bad boys in birch sap syrup. It's super cool. Now here's the free giveaway. If you're local and you want to try this, DM me, because we will give you birch sap, and you can make your own syrup.
Or taps.
Or taps. We have taps. Hey, do we have any of those taps to show them?
There's some out here.
All right, we're going to follow Russ, our special guest, and he's going to show us these taps. Now, we did have a couple different designs, and this is the design that he finished with and decided that this was the best design. He made it out of scrap copper tubing because he's a genius.
It's got slots in it, lets the sap in, comes out there. Then you have the screw hook to hang the bucket on.
Okay, screw hook to hang the bucket, that's important. Now, if you're doing PEX, if you have a big producer, Russ, do you use the screw?
No, you take the screw out and fit PEX over it.
There we go. Take the screw out to fit the PEX. Okay, so there is your homegrown, non-expert, but super enthusiastic birch syrup making process. Russ Carpenter, your local expert, kind of, sort of, he hasn't killed us yet. So we're gonna call him an expert. He's a lot more passionate about it than I am, but I am really enjoying the pancake part. So there we go. Any last words, Russ?
Nope, don't be afraid to try it.
And if you want some sap to try to make your syrup, DM me, call me, bring your bucket and come over. We have way too much. We do not need more syrup. Seriously, do not need more syrup. I see you, Linda. Linda, come get some sap. We'll give it to you for free. Just bring your containers and know that you need at least 5 gallons to make any decent amount of syrup. All right, later, folks.